I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, April the 5th. One more night here in the Bassett Lodge in beautiful downtown Bassett, Nebraska. Had a good stay here, had a nice talk at Sand Hill Equipment on Thursday evening. Had a good time at Bassett Livestock Auction on Wednesday, saw a lot of good cattle. Was able to take a little tour on Thursday morning at some of the flood damage, and very significant, and it's going to be a long time before these guys get back. Having a hard time and talking to other people too, finding 1 million dead calves in the state of Nebraska. That could be pushing it, but you know, it'd be hard to pin down, but significant damage. Probably the hardest part's going to be on these counties trying to repair their infrastructure. There's a lot of bridges out all over the state, and you're talking about a multi-million-dollar bridge, and there may be some help from FEMA. Nobody really knows how much, but these guys are going to have a hard time within their municipals, within their counties, to try to rebuild that. And in the meantime, you've got a lot of ranchers that's having to drive a long ways out of the way to get to where they're going. But talking about a hog hunt, we're not sure what's going on with this hog deal in China. Their fake news might be even worse than our fake news, but it's hard to get an actual report out of there on how far they're down. We had heard a week or two ago that maybe they were down 16 to 18% on their herds. Now we're thinking maybe as much as 30%, and if it's that much, that is significant. It was enough to send your lean hog futures limit up and lend considerable support to your cattle futures also. But you know, we don't know, we haven't seen ballooning orders from China yet. There's rumors that they're getting some U.S. pork roundabout way coming in the back door, but nobody really knows, because you just can't get any actual reports out of there that you can sink your teeth into. But we got a considerable bump in the cattle futures on Thursday, and we'll take that. But traveling around the Midwest this week and meeting a lot of good people. One thing I'm not doing as I travel around is stopping at a Burger King anywhere, and will not do that. I don't know how much you guys have heard about this Impossible Whopper that they have now, and it does not have any beef in it at all, and kind of pushing that. But I tell you what, the consumers don't really know what they're getting. Heck of it is, the people that might want to eat a hamburger that has no beef in it, no meat in it, those are the same people that don't want any growth promotants, and they don't want any antibiotics in their food. Well, if you're going to grow something from a germ, something in a petri dish that doesn't have an immune system, you're going to have to give it something to fight off any kind of infection, and you're definitely going to have to give it some kind of a growth promotant. But not sure why our cowboys, why our beef associations aren't coming out with guns a-blazing, but they really ought to, because this is a real deal, guys. We need to get behind a way to fence it, and we need to be progressive, and we need to go to it and come out and try to educate consumers about it. You know, maybe a lot of them don't even know what a hamburger is and where it comes from, but they sure don't know what they're getting with this new deal here. But we need to figure out a way to fight it. Let's look at the board on Thursday. April live cattle futures up $1.77 at 127.55. June was up $2.57 at 121.57. Your August way out there at up $2.45. Now it's up almost 118.25. And we were just talking this week about how much your feedlots are giving up each week, 1 to 2 lower. It seems like inevitable almost every week, because we got ballooning supplies of market-ready cattle, and just kind of so-so demand from your packers, and no leverage at all for your cattle feeders. But we're going to see what happens. We're not sure how long we can ride this hog deal to try to stave off pressure, but we're sure not gaining anything in the cash market. April feeder cattle up 157 at 146.32. May was up 280 at 150.07. Your fat cattle trade, we had a little more trickle of that on Thursday. You remember on Wednesday and some Tuesday we saw some 124 trade in the Southern Plains, and it's probably cleaned up. That'd be a buck lower for sure in Kansas and Texas, even though they don't sell very many negotiated. That'd still be mostly $2 lower for them. But we saw a little bit more 124 in Kansas, a little more in Colorado, because that's the first sales we've seen reported out of there this week. Iowa had a few sales. Midwestern cattle, 3,400 head there, 127 to 128, so carrying a considerable premium due to all the damaging floods and the weight loss in the northern plains. But they're trucking those cattle from the southern plains up into Iowa and Nebraska to fill kill slots there. But some dress trade in Iowa from 204 to 205. So far through Wednesday, we'd seen 30,400 head sell, with a weighted average about 124.40 and 204.20 on the dress deal. And it looks like it's going to be yet another week of light trade unless we find considerable trade in the northern plains and they kick up some more trade in the southern plains, which is kind of a far stretch. But with the board now at a big premium to cash, who knows what could happen. Maybe some deliveries come into play, and that could be a real deal. Box beef cutout values mixed with choice up. Maybe we're getting a little more demand. Grilling demand is starting to warm up around places. But choice cuts 226.74 Thursday afternoon. That was up 60 cents. Selects up down 61, so just a trade off there at 218.36. Your slaughter pretty decent, 477,000 through Thursday. That's 2,000 more than last week and 19,000 more than the same week a year ago. But it's kind of hard to swallow some of these reports sometimes. The actual slaughter data come out for the week ending March 23rd had your average steer carcass up a pound from the previous report at 866 pounds. But look at your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on Cattle Market Central late on Thursday, 139.40, gaining ground, up 39 cents, and some pretty good sales. Pratt Livestock, Pratt, Kansas, had 4,500 head on Thursday. Feeder steers 2 to 5 bucks higher. Feeder heifers unevenly steady, had a few calves steady to 3 bucks higher, but some of those green two-way cattle that could either be turned out on grass or go into the feed yard with some condition to them and thin flesh, that we saw spots of those on steers and heifers, 4 to as much as 12 bucks higher in the top end, mostly on the steers. Farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas, 4,900 head there. Feeder steers 3 to 4 bucks higher, and feeder heifers kind of uneven because just not a big push on the heifers, and you're not getting many two-way players on the heifers, but you see more guys looking for the bigger stocker steers. But also noted in Salina, lots of thin stocker cattle there left the price range and launched on those because just so much demand for stocker cattle, and they want the kind that are hard and rugged, and all you got to do is process them and turn them out. But I got a new sale on Cattle Market Central. Proud to be reporting Mocan Livestock Market, Butler, Missouri. My friend Jim Herzog there. We've been trying to get them on for a while. They didn't have good enough internet there at the Passaic exit, and not a lot going on right around there. But Butler is a nice town, and just one exit away from there. But going to be getting a lot of good quotes from now on out of Mocan Livestock, and yes, that is right on the Mocan border on the western side of Missouri and the eastern side of Kansas. But 66 head of 821 pound steers in Mocan bring 149.85. Good sale there. Big sale out in Ogallala, Nebraska there. Dwayne Mays and company there, close to 4,000 head there. And look at this Cattle Market Central market report that I pulled, and you can see the average prices there on the popular weights. The best tested weights, 555 head of 7-weight steers in Ogallala, average 754 at 154.26. On your 8-weight steers, 554 of them average right at 850 at 148.43. Those are better averages than we've seen for quite a while. And look at the quote on some big steers out of Ogallala, 110 head of 934 pound steers bring 144.50. And just earlier this week, some cattle weighing in the upper eights, bringing that kind of money, was a top sale. But we've had a pretty good week on feeder cattle, despite losing ground in your fat cattle market. Let's get out of the area a little bit and see what some prices are other places. Wilcox, Arizona's got a nice sale down there in southern Arizona. 66 head of 642-pound steers there, bring 158.25, and they have had moisture down in that area, and will have grazing down in those parts of Arizona and over into New Mexico. But the top quote come out of South Dakota on Thursday. Presho, South Dakota, 87 steers, weigh 637 pounds at $190. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.